That.
So how many things is Kelly working on right now?
Yeah,
I'm guessing a minimum of 4. She's working on a minimum of 4 things right now.
But the one is she's just trying to get her lower third to work, and it's not working.
That's
because she's also multitasking. She's probably curriculum mapping, planning a conference, mothering.
You're hilarious.
And editing some video or making some Photoshop thing at the same time.
Hilarious.
Because Kermode.
Hey, all I know is I saw the Google Doc with David Terrio's Q plans, like all laid out hour by hour. I thought, boy, that is
wow.
Whoa, I've not been privy to that.
Oh, I can share that with you.
I know. I was trying to
Am I on
edit
the
it.
list, David? Did I make it?
No, it's viewable by all. You just didn't care.
You're just view only.
What?
Wow.
Oh wow, Kelly's sad. She can't.
Kelly, that looks like a
Kelly
commercial
made a sad
mug.
choice.
Tonight it is. Tonight is a plain old mug.
Yikes. We have expectations on Techlandia.
I'm sorry.
Hey, you never... did we figure out how to get Kristen her mug?
I have to, no. The short answer is no.
Okay. Is this a, hey, there's an EdCamp gift from a random person that needs to get sent to you? What is the best address for you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to do that right now because...
So we are live right now? Is that
We
what
are live. We are live.
Okay, good.
It always starts like that, and if you show up early, you can see a little sneak peek before it gets going.
David, I just requested access.
Wait, it's not viewable by anybody?
Nope.
No. My request for access has been
I saw
sent.
it. I saw it last night.
Yeah.
Well, you must have just shared it with iPad, Sammy, then, so...
No.
I just saw it on the Twitters.
Yeah, I put it out on Twitter, and I made it viewable by all. Okay. I'm fixing it right now. Unless Sean changed it.
Yeah, well, Sean controls Google. Sean bot.
It was interesting to hear Sean's experience of South by Southwest.
I'm curious as to what he said about it.
He said it's like Q, but with college people. And a little bit...
And Pearson.
Yeah, a little cooler, but pretty much like a big boat show.
I was with Sean last year when he went. A little bit.
Yeah. I asked him how much did he learn, and he got a couple. There were a couple things.
I'm sure, yeah. Probably from talking to people.
Yeah.
All right, tell me when you're ready to go. Carl, you're marking the time, 7:10. Okay, David's ready. Carl, you ready?
We are live already, right?
Yeah, we are live already. You just edited it. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Carl was ordering plane tickets.
Oh, Carl, are you done ordering your tickets, Carl? Are you?
No, I actually bought tickets last night, so I'm all set. Thanks, I appreciate your concern, guys.
For the Stanford game?
No, these were tickets to the Canadas.
Oh, to the Canadas, okay. No, I was talking about for the Stanford game.
Oh, no, I need to wait for it. Victoria's out buying dinner stuff. I need to wait for her to get back.
Okay. What is she getting?
I think we're going to do some pizza type thing.
You guys are big on the pizza. You're like Tim Lauer Jr.'s.
No.
Except Tim makes his.
No, I would love to be on Tim Lauer's level, but no, that is not a level I can get to. Although,
Tim actually makes his while he's riding his electric bike. There's a little chargeable oven at the back that he just puts them in, and they heat up while he comes home.
And then he's on his bike snapping pictures.
Yep, with Toto in the front in a little basket.
That's right. John, edit here. Hello and welcome to Techlandia. How are you doing today? I am John Samuelson. I am in the South Bay. And now I'm going to kick it down to the co-hostess with the mostest. He's also in the South Bay, and his name is, big long pause, wait for it. Carl,
technically, David and I are both in the South Bay.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, David, you're in the South Bay too. And Kelly, you're in the South Bay too.
He said the hostess.
That was a pretty.
He also said hostess, so that implied it wasn't you and I.
No.
There were a lot of things going on there, but you did cue the big long pause well. I mean, there was a big long.
That's
pause.
right. I mean, Carl's like, he'll go, I'm Carl Lindgren Stryker, world history teacher. Teach 8th and 9th graders. Or 9th and 10th graders.
Thanks, John. You introduced me. Would you like to introduce David as well?
Sure. And now let's kick it down to the other, further in south in the South Bay. And we're kicking it to the other co-host with the most.
David
Wait, no,
Terrio.
this is where you introduce David.
Yeah, go ahead, John. What would you say about me?
David Terrio, mild-mannered, bear-hugging extraordinaire person. I'm looking forward to my David Terrio bear hug that I'm going to get very soon. So thank you for that. At the Q conference on Friday, I just found out I will get my bear hug on Friday.
That is correct. Be ready. Wear Kevlar.
Scott Bedley, when I see him, just hits me on the back of the head. He biffs me a lot. So we're very happy to have a guest that we should have had on a long, long time ago.
Amen.
But it doesn't matter because now we've got her on here. She is, I have seen her a couple times in person recently, and I even went to one of her sessions at the cute little Portland Chromebook camp, and Allison Anderson and I were just raving about all the stuff. She's just throwing stuff at us, and we were just like, give us more, Coach K, give us more. So, and she is very timely on March Madness. She's Coach K, but she's not Mike Krzyzewski.
True to form.
There it is. Go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do, Kelly.
Hi, my name is Kelly Kermode, and I reside in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I work for Forest Hills Public Schools. Newly designated as an innovation specialist for the district, as we're going through some high school redesign and rolling out BYOD to all the high schools next year.
Look at that, right on. Guys, you know, I have told you guys, you can feel free with the sound effects, right? You guys have full reign over any sound effect that you want. All 12 of them.
I heard it was your thing.
Thank you, Carl, very much. All right, so anyway, well, Kelly, we're happy to have you on here. Okay, so I just think first, this is going to be...
Hold on. Can I start with a story?
Yeah, start with the story.
Okay, so the EdCamp Home was born out of a stupid idea that David and I had, and I don't even remember who had it. I don't even know if we had it, but we ended up running with it, and we knew nothing, like nothing. We don't know anything. Had we tried to make EdCamp Home happen, and we've made it happen 3 times, but not because of David and I. We made it happen partially because of Shawn White, but partially because of Kelly, who knows all of the things about the internet. So I already thought that Kelly was one of the smartest people I'd ever met, and I'm lucky to have gotten to hang out with her several times. But then I went to her session at IPDX, which was the end of a really long Thursday. So I presented for 3 straight hours on Thursdays, 2 2-hour sessions, then lunch, then a 1-hour session, and then I was just dead and of time, right? Hudgy Bear had me running, and I showed up to Kelly's session, which is the last hour of the day, about graphic design. And I was like, all right, I'm going to learn something. Really, I just want to see, Kelly present something. But Kelly didn't, number one, she didn't present. But it was brilliant how much she taught us in an hour, as well as, had people up and moving and looking at everybody else's work. And it was pedagogically one of the best sessions I've ever been to. And then I had to take my respect for Kelly Kermode to another level, and I was like, oh, okay, now I don't really know what to do anymore.
I have a Kelly Kermode story that I would like to share.
Oh, go.
So we're at the Google Teacher Academy, and we're up at this super, super tall building at Canyon Road. We're all eating dinner and stuff, and we just happened to start talking about our Google Teacher Academy videos, which are a minute-long, Grant, And Kelly starts talking about all the things she did in her video, because we're like, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? She proceeds to tell us all these really amazing things like, yeah, and then this leaf fell, but it didn't have a drop shadow, so I put a little shadow down there, but the shadow needed to be 3-dimensional, and then there was this other image. So I think she spent, correct me if I'm wrong, about 70-something hours editing this video, and when she was done explaining everything, there was this silence. Nobody said anything for a good 30 seconds, and Corey Pavich looks at me and he goes, yeah, next time you might want to put that in your application. And everybody was just like, what the? They're like, oh, we just scrambled, and I did mine in a day, and there was no, whatever. And, it's just, the thing is, she makes everything look like she spent no time on it, and it's because it's perfect. It's amazing. I don't know how she does it, honestly.
Time sounds like the enemy. You know what? My story was just going to be, as long as we're just telling stories. I watched Ed Camp Home, and you guys were totally lost until Kelly showed up and saved your butts. That was
Wait, I
my
already
show.
told
I thought Carl was going there, and he kind of did, but really, from the outsider's perspective, you could tell you guys were totally fumbling and stumbling around, and I didn't know any one of you, and it was just funny. But you guys were
Wait,
great.
now hold on. In
Ed
David
Camp
and
Home
I's
is
defense,
awesome.
we're very clear that we don't know what we're doing.
But you guys do know what you're doing. You do.
I've tried to find an Angels cap that looks like a dunce cap, and they just don't sell them.
Well, anyway, at Camp Home.
Should we ask Kelly some questions since we're just talking?
Yeah, I
about
mean,
it?
Yes.
Kelly, thanks for being on the show, and good night, everybody. All
I don't know
right,
what to say right now. I'm
know.
just dying right here.
all right, Kelly, go ahead and tell us whatever you want to start with. Go ahead and tell us then. If you have do you have a story about one of the boys you want to tell, real quick?
Oh, I think that's just that. We'll just leave that as lying dogs. We'll just leave those stories.
That's good. Well, you know what, Kelly? All right, so I always have time get away from me, and I have these big plans. But why don't you tell us a little bit about the Adobe classes that you're doing a little bit? Is that a good place to start with, the Adobe classes?
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
Those are really cool.
Yep. So Adobe offers these free, basically they're MOOCs for teachers to learn new skills, and there's just a series of courses that we run. There's a digital creativity course. There's one on digital imaging right now that focuses on using Photoshop. There's one coming up that really works with Flash and Edge Animate to help develop animation skills. Then we do one on video production. There's one that where Mark Shufflebottom teaches how to do mobile app design, and they're just short stints, just very focused learning, modular content, and then every week we have a live class where we have guest experts come in, and it's a great community of learners. For all the MOOCs out there in the world, these courses offer just a very personalized experience. There's a Twitter hashtag. There's a very active Facebook private group for those people enrolled in the course. So there's always people sharing and asking questions and really wanting to just understand the tools, but more than that, really instill creativity in their practices. And so it's just about each of us in that course pushing each other to kind of go beyond the norm, right? And it's just a really great community atmosphere there.
And Kelly, where do people go to find this?
They
If you're listening
go.
to this.
Yep, they can go to edx.adobe.com, which is the Adobe Education Exchange. There they can go under the Professional Development tab and pick collaborative courses, and then they'll get those there. There's also self-paced courses that are just kind of everything's there, tutorials are there, the videos are there, and they can just walk through them themselves. But the edX, the Adobe Education Exchange in general, is an amazing resource if people have not tapped into it. There are around 200,000 educators as part of the edX, and if ever I need an idea or if I have something in my brain and I just want to see what other people have done with it, if I go in there and just type in a couple of keywords, someone has put a resource, a link, a lesson plan, tutorials, something there to kind of get me on the right path or just to pick up and use. It's an amazing, amazing resource of creative energies and just thinking outside the box of how we can cover different content in our classes.
So this is something that even if you don't have Adobe products, you could still go there and find out things about learning or creativity. And
Yes. So, for instance, if you wanted your students to put together a presentation or a newspaper or something and you didn't know anything about design and you needed to know something about publishing, or if you needed to know something about presentations, you could go there and there would be so much good stuff about visual acuity and attention-getting techniques and decluttering your presentation, even just like what Carl said about the whole graphic design piece, just basics that you can put into any content area to really make sure that your students get that whole kind of round, well-rounded education, not just so focused.
It's interesting. I still think that one of the, all right, so I tried, Kelly, I tried to do the class. I stuck with you for a couple classes, but then my life gets in the way and I can't do it. But
Yep.
one of the things that I really like currently is the Adobe Voice app, and especially after they've changed it so you don't have to use Creative Cloud to
Yep.
share the video anymore, that you can save it to the camera roll on the iPad.
Yep.
It's seriously the number one iPad for maybe teachers that are hesitant to use. Maybe they have a chance to use like a shared card of iPads or something, or they
Yep.
just have a few. But it's like if they're hesitant, that's the easiest thing to get a really great student product. I think you could get it kindergarten through 12th grade, whatever subject you wanted. I really like Adobe Voice. I think it's my favorite app, and it has been for a while, but especially after, like, I think I wrote them and said, can we just not save it to the Creative Cloud? And enough people must have said it so that they listened, and I think it just makes it an awesome. I just think it's one of the best, and it's free. That's the best part. That's the best part.
So David and Carl, do you guys know what Adobe Voice is?
I
Carl says yes.
not as much as Carl, I think.
So it's a visual storytelling app basically, or a reporting app or whatever, but you can make instant movies. And what's beautiful about it is that they've gotten an agreement with the Noun Project, so that if you don't have photos, if you don't have your own assets, you can put in keywords and pick out Noun Project icons and build out a presentation like that has visual anchors, that's clean, where you can record audio with each slide, you can put background music in it, the transitions are seamless, and export it on the fly. For teachers looking for a tool that doesn't take a whole lot of class time to learn how to use, where they can output a professional product like very fast, it is one of those. The thing that I love about the app is that even if you are in elementary or high school and you're trying to get students to understand camera angles or different parts of a story, there are all these pre-built kind of guided templates in there. So if I was to sell a product and I picked that template, each time I went to a new slide, it would say, okay, here's the next step, here's the next perspective, here's the next thing you should try to bring across to your audience. And it's just these one-liners at the bottom of the app that kind of gives guidance to your students so that you don't have to be kind of on each group or each student around the room all the time. They've got this guided cueing going on for different perspectives.
Kelly, one, can you use this with a Chromebook?
It is iPad only.
Okay. And then what makes it different than Haiku Deck, besides the prompting?
It's not, you know what, I would say, David, it's closer to like Animoto used to be like in 2008. It's like Animoto 2015 almost, but I mean, that's almost like degrading it, how cool it is. But I think it's closer to that than Haiku Deck. Not really a presentation, but you could sure make it into a presentation, right, Kelly? I mean,
you could.
They're cool. There's a lot of cool things you could do with it. You could even bring Haiku Deck's screenshots and bring it into the Adobe. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you could do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, more like I remember when I saw Animoto in 2008 or 2007. I loved that thing, and you love it for a little while and then whatever. But it was. I remember people went crazy for Animoto because it was really simple for teachers, and they would do like the transitioning for you. But what I like is like if you get kids with the words, and then what I like the voice part to record and hold down for the kids on the iPad is really simple. And if they mess up, they can just hold down and it just records right over and starts again, which is harder on some of the other apps that are out there that do similar things because you have to kind of just keep rolling and do it all in one long take. Here you could just go to one slide, record some nice voice, and then go with it.
Yep.
Sammy, it sounds like you know a lot about iPads. Have you ever thought about including that in your name?
I just know a lot about Adobe Voice because it's a good app. I really like that one. We're using it right now. I'm going to go to school tomorrow, and we're going to try and use it for one of their for third grade animal reports too, to make them look extra fancy. So that's good. But yeah, and you know what else I liked about the class, Kelly, was the one thing that I did get was there was so much conversation going on. But I picked out one of the links where it was like it really helped you pick complementary colors for a website. And so when I was making the tumblers, the complementary colors thing, I've gone to that like 5 times already. I mean, that's an awesome resource. Just like watching the people talk, and there were so many things that were going through. And then there's Kelly, just going along, but then people are like, here, do this, use this. It was cool. So I like that one. I really enjoyed the class when I could get there. So sorry I couldn't make it through the whole thing, but that's me in a nutshell right there.
That's okay.
Kids get sick. I have to take them to the hospital. I don't know, whatever.
I get it.
Carl knows that because Carl's taken me to the hospital before too. That was the last Stanford game. Carl, the Stanford game isn't a football game, right?
No, it's a basketball game, and
Okay.
you're not going, so it'll be fine. That wasn't spiteful.
You're not going, so it'll be fine. Okay, so
Just
Kelly,
for your show notes, that site that you were talking about is color.adobe.com.
I love that one.
Yep.
That's awesome. Kelly, how did you get hooked up teaching them for Adobe? Did Adobe approach you? Did you see something? How did you get involved? And I like how they do it for so they have an Australian time
Yep.
and then an American time, which I think is cool too.
There's actually a group of us that are Adobe education leaders, and we get together during the summer for the Adobe Education Institute. And this past summer, actually 2 summers ago when we were out there, we just started collaborating on some ideas, and then kind of was a joint effort that we recognized we had a service to provide, and Adobe needed a service fulfilled, and it just kind of worked out that the education leaders could come forth and do this. So it's worked out really well.
Yeah, it was cool. I really liked Pip. I thought that Pip from Australia, she seemed like she had some good stuff to share.
Yes.
I liked her. All right, so Kelly. All right, I've got to share the doc with David. I'm going to put the doc with David for a second. Give us your book that you're currently reading right now, and I will get the doc over to David.
Okay, so I have found that the more I won't speak in generalities. Now that I'm training lots of different people, from carrying a course of students to individual teachers to full staff trainings to third-party trainings to district trainings, it feels like my attention's going all different places, and managing all the different to-do lists and the follow-up lists and the pre-need lists, it felt like I was getting a little bit, it was just kind of going frazzled. So with that in mind, this past summer, actually, at the Institute that Adobe puts on, we all got this wonderful little gift, and it was this guy. And I'll tell you this right now. It's just how to manage your day-to-day, build your routine, find your focus, and sharpen your creative mind. And it's a bunch of just short little essays, anecdotes about how people have made it work and how they reach their ultimate kind of productivity and why. And really, I guess my biggest thing behind it was I wanted to make sure that I was still being able to do something creative in my day-to-day instead of just that to-do list every day. I just felt like my whole sense of self was becoming pretty dry, and I wanted to make sure that niche of creativity was staying very active, and I needed to be able to prioritize that. So the book itself, when you start to read it, it's one of those that's a very quick read, but when you start to read it, I start to think about, okay, well, I'm going to have to change this or modify this, and I want to implement ideas right away. So I take a break from it, and then I revisit it. That's pretty much what I do with a lot of my books.
That looks cool. I mean, I know that I'm not creative at all, and I'm not focused either. David, I need help. David Terrio, help me. What do I do? I'm not creative, and I need help. David, help me. Help me. Give me somebody to help.
No, I was just talking to Bob Kelly about this. So I was having a problem. I'm doing a brand new active reading strategy that I've never done before with my class, and I always like having some kind of cool little title for it, or whatever, but I just couldn't come up with it. Like, it had something to do with scouting, but I wasn't really sure, and I'm like, forget it. You know what? I'm going to have all my kids call it whatever they want, and then I'm just going to steal their idea, and the next year I'll just call it that. And probably the most profound thing I've read over the last year was, I read the Harvard Business Review Journal all the time. It's really good. Yeah. And they had an article called Why a Testable Idea is More Important Than a Good Idea. And it's all about just putting something out there, and that you can, I hate the word iterate, but whatever. You can just try it and then tweak it and then redo it and throw it away. Also, what's nice about that is that you didn't invest all this stuff in making this perfect idea, so you don't feel bad about like just pushing it aside. And so I think you gotta put stuff out there and let people, give them the space to kind of put their own little stuff in there, and all of a sudden it looks creative. I mean, that's what Carla and I do at Ed Camp Home. We just put it out there. It was a terrible idea. And then we gave the space for Kelly and Sean to jump in there. Sean White, by the way, who's rad. And they made it better. Just let other people throw, it's like stone soup. Just put the soup on and invite everybody to throw something in. It tastes good after a while.
Ed Camp Home is a great idea, and it's still a great idea. And I don't know why we aren't doing more of them. To tell you the truth, I don't know why we're not.
Well, Google's doing one now.
Okay. Oh, is that the thing in May?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's one.
Luckily, I found out about it. Otherwise, I would have went and gone. I would have never even known about it.
The Google doesn't keep you in on the loop? I thought you were like the first person they would email.
No.
No? Okay. Well,
we'll just leave that alone.
Okay, I won't even say anything.
I still love Google.
Carl Lindgren Stryker, you've been awful quiet, and you're sitting there, and you've got that nice new microphone.
It's muted.
No, and then, yeah. So, Carl, we would like you to ask a question, please. Get involved, please. Get active.
I am active. I'm actively listening.
Oh, okay. I think you're ordering your Stanford tickets for tomorrow night.
No, not at all. No, I was intrigued with the line of questioning. Kelly, can I ask you something that's not on your list because it's something that I'm curious about?
Yeah.
All right. I'm curious what got you involved in education technology. What was it? I'm interested in this. Did somebody push you? Were you encouraged by a colleague or an administrator? Like, what was the thing that got you involved in this world? And yeah, go.
Is this because I'd rather be doing pottery or painting on a normal basis? Is that why you're asking me this?
I mean, it is. I mean, I didn't know that you painted. I do know that you're an excellent potter.
Potter.
I don't. Right, an excellent potter. So it is one of those things where it's like if you didn't do all of this other stuff, you would have more time for that. So yeah, that is part of it.
I have not known any part of my educational career to be without me involved in some sort of educational technology. The first month I was hired as a teacher, our principal said to the staff at a staff meeting, I need 3 people to volunteer for a technology team. Now, 15 years ago, that looked very different than it does today. Most people didn't have cell phones back then. So it was very different. And when you are a new teacher, and I was fortunate to know a lot of people on staff, they looked at me and said, hey, this is what you do, girl. You volunteer for everything. And so there wasn't much that I wasn't volunteering for. There wasn't much that I wasn't doing at that point. I mean, your early 20s, no kids. So I was coaching 2 varsity sports. I was on 5 different committees. I was teaching overload, lunchroom duty. I mean, you do it because that's what you're doing. And most of us, this is our life. It's not like a job. It's like an inherent part of us, right? That's why we're in education. I don't know. Some people tell me I work too much, but it's kind of in my skin a little bit. So with that in mind, I became part of the technology team, and because I was working in the city schools, we actually had been given some grant money to get some very specific training. And I remember a gentleman coming up from Georgia and giving us this wonderful 5-day training. And it probably was the thing that propelled me into it a little deeper. It was more about the pedagogy, not the tool. And this was, 15 years ago, so it was great to hear it, and it was really good application and sound advice. And then that year I went to McCall, and a teacher that I had taught with that year, she kind of pushed me to become involved with McCall and the organization, and I've been involved ever since. And I grew to love the community of learners. I think even in the beginning, it wasn't much about the technology. I mean, there's something very awesome about being able to create with new tools that definitely lend itself to what I love to do. But early adopters are fun. They're risk takers. They push boundaries. They stretch each other's thinking. They have fun with like just working with ideas, and I gravitated toward that, and I still do. I love people that just say, "Why not? Why can't we do this?" You know, what's holding us back? You know, are these true boundaries? Are these perceived boundaries? Are we doing what's best for kids by following these boundaries, or do we need to start to break things a little bit, reshape them, remake them? So, Carl, I'm sorry, this is probably a very long answer to a short question, but it it's just always been there for me since I became a teacher. That's and how I ended up in education. That's a whole, things happen for a reason, I guess. I wouldn't be here with you guys if I didn't start following just paths that kind of opened themselves for me. So I guess that's how everything kind of happened.
Well, I started following you. I remember when those crazy freaking California kids came out to McCall, and all of a sudden they're tweeting with this Coach K person. I was like, I have no idea who this is, but if she's talking to, John Carippo and these other folks who I really look up to, like clearly that's somebody that I should be talking to. I was like, oh, okay, Coach K, done and done.
I think I started following Coach K because of Kenneth Durham, and he's a Division I baseball umpire, and I was like, man, if he's tweeting with this person, she must be the most knowledgeable baseball person ever. Like, she's got to be some D1 baseball coach or whatever. But I do also want to ask you, Kelly, has Coach K ever offered you money for your Twitter handle?
He has not, no.
I'm shocked.
However, I have been approached by several different entities, and I can tell you right now that the account itself is interesting because I will always know when Duke plays well, or they botch something, or there has been a missed call, because, I mean, the world is full of people that don't actually check Twitter handles before they just throw them in a tweet. Right. And I have basically curated a wonderful list. If Coach Krzyzewski ever, wanted, I have blocked a lot of profanity. A bunch of people that just would love to just tell Coach K off. Wow. They've tried.
Have you ever interacted with any of them? Like, have you ever thought about putting his picture up and interacting back?
Absolutely not. No.
How about just after one loss early in an NCAA, just put his picture up and just say, "I'm sorry, everyone." Like, just something like that.
No, probably kicked off Twitter. That would be a good thing. Maybe you should have a fundraiser for your school. How many Chromebooks would you donate to take over Coach K's account for that he can change it around and really make it Coach K's?
I have had some people pose as somebody from the organization, from the university, and it just was so phony, and I'm like, you really think that's how university would go about doing this? Like, seriously?
Like a spam email.
Yeah, and then the other piece about it is it's funnier to actually watch the conversations where someone's friend catches them using the Twitter handle, and then they go and check it, and then they correct their friend, and then it becomes this whole dialogue on Twitter about, this isn't the real Coach K. Wait, what? Who is she? It's some chick in the Midwest. Blah blah blah. And then it just goes on and on and on, and I just sit there and I just watch the feed and I just kind of laugh. I'm like, this is pretty funny right now.
That is funny. All right, Coach K. Here, we'll get off the Duke bandwagon for a second. So I was gonna look on the doc, and I want to let you rant. I'll let you close and rant at the end, but tell me about your plan, because this is important to a lot of people that we've had on there. What are some of your plans for changing PD up as an innovation specialist?
I really, really want teachers to have fun. David
has fun.
Thanks, David. That was really fun. I have sat through my share of just sit and get PD, where I was sitting there going, oh my gosh, not only is this terrible that I'm sitting here at 3 p.m. in the afternoon sitting, or for a 6-hour full day of PD, but second of all, how do you expect any transformational change when you're not modeling it? I mean, that was it. David, your face is awesome right now. So really what we're trying to do is, if we're looking at things saying, okay, students have seat time waivers, students have this, students have that. Well, okay, how do teachers navigate that if they've never even had that for themselves? Why are we holding teachers accountable for an hour in a chair and calling that good learning? That's just, it doesn't make sense to me. And how do you grow a peer-to-peer learning environment when everyone's sitting in their chair? That is not, that's just not optimal. So really it's just about letting teachers have some play time and some discovery time and, give them some parameters, just like you would with a student, but let them shape some of their experiences so that's beneficial for them.
David, you like that comment, huh?
You know what? This is what really makes Kelly special, right, Carl? Is seriously, she can talk tech with anyone. She's like Adobe goddess, but when it comes down to it, she just gets people and learning, and it's awesome. It's seriously awesome. I wish she lived in California.
About a month ago, before the melt came, I would have said, that looks really good right now, but. We're in mid-50s, 60-degree weather, snow's melting. I'm looking forward to Michigan summer.
Yeah, I love that Kelly's tweeting pictures that involve, like, disappearing snowbanks and calling it spring, and I'm going for a hike in shorts and a t-shirt. I'm like, spring. It's a matter of perspective.
Right. We'll be in Palm Springs later on this week. It'll be 92. Be nice.
It's 92 in Orange County.
Oh, is it right now?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Kelly, I think that's... as a person that started off one of my last sessions with the Drake Shake app and the turn down for what button, I agree with you on the fun part. I've started off every session I think lately where I've been like, here, you could use apps to do this. Hey, look at this. Look, you can put rapper Drake in every picture that you want. Look at that. It's very cool. So go ahead and give us. I'd like you to give us an Arnie Duncan style rant right now. Normally we save this for Grandpa Sammy to grouch about Arnie Duncan, but go ahead, Kelly, right now and give us some of your thoughts on standardized testing real quick. And that's always a good way to end. We love it when people snark a little bit. At least I do. That's my favorite. So go ahead and snark about standardized testing. Carl says he's pro standardized testing, by the way, for the record. Right, Carl?
Yeah, that crazy Carl guy who's from the East Bay or the South Bay or wherever you
from the
say.
South, Carl from the South Bay loves testing. But anyway, go ahead, Kelly. Tell us a little bit. Give us a nice. You'll give it in a nice, succinct, brilliant way. So go ahead and give us your thoughts on testing because it is coming up on testing time of the year, our favorite time.
Oh, we've already been through it, and I will tell you, it is amazing to me how much manpower it takes to even facilitate one day of testing at the high school level. And for that to be the high stakes testing or the high stakes component that demonstrates whether or not we've been effective with students for 180 other days of the year is amazing to me. Not only that, but it's a moving target all the time. So it's kind of like, okay, you're going to make us spend dozens and dozens and dozens of hours preparing, and I'm not even talking test prep. I'm talking about legitimately figuring out how we're going to deploy a test to hundreds of kids on the same day as all the rest of the students in the same grade in Michigan, and then basically put our school in lockdown for a day and have to do the manpower behind that and walk through all of that as far as scheduling and adjusting all of our classes and workflows, and then ship it off and not know for weeks, and everyone's kind of just waiting for the results to come in when we're looking these kids in the eye every day and we know what they're capable of, we know what their passions are and what drives them intrinsically, and I'm telling you, it's not a test. It's not bubbling a sheet by any means. And is that really growing their skill set to help them solve major problems that are going to come up in our world, and prepare them for new jobs they're going to be approaching. They're going to have to approach with fresh perspectives and the ability to take risks and do that. No. It perpetuates this need to stay in this little safety box and do what you're told and bubble in all the right letters. And that's not what our world needs. Our world needs compassionate, creative risk takers who can work together to solve some problems with ingenuity. There, that's my little...
Look at how you said that so nicely. Do you have to take your standardized test on computers?
So the state is moving towards that.
Okay.
This year we could elect whether we're doing paper or pencil, and we elected to do paper because the initial test group that took all of the tests on computer, the results were that they didn't do as well. To have a student compose their writing when they're not used to that, to do all their pre-writing, organizational, mind mapping, whatever, on a computer rather than a pencil and paper, that can throw a student off. For them to eliminate choices on a computer screen rather than use a pencil. I mean, we've been teaching kids how to use different tools for years, and all of a sudden you're going to flip the switch and say, okay, well, now on this day, not only are you timed, but you're going to use a device that you might not be comfortable with, in a setting that you might not be comfortable with test-taking skills that you might not have had a lot of practice on. I mean, let's face it, the last thing I'm doing on a computer is having my students do multiple choice tests, right? I mean, if I've got devices out, we're doing creative stuff. I mean, we're doing inquiry-based learning, we're doing thoughtful things, not taking a standardized test on computers. And
do you guys know?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kelly. Sorry.
No.
I thought you were done.
I was.
Did you guys know the song "Killing in the Name" by Rage Against the Machine?
Sure.
Yep.
So I'm just hearing in the background that repeated line over and over again that I won't repeat because this is a family show, but it's something along the lines of something you won't do what you tell me and just gets said over and over again. I kind of think that's what Kelly just did, but it was really eloquent, and that was like the velvet glove of Rage Against the Machine.
Zach De La Rocha would be proud.
Zach De La Rocha would be proud.
Oh, wow. That's great, Kelly. Well, you know what? That was great. I like it when a non-old person rants like that a little bit, and usually it's Grandpa. Grandpa rages a lot. I rage against the machine. Kelly, thank you so much for being on here. We appreciate you staying up so late because we know it's late for the East Coast. But thank you so much for being on. We appreciate it, and come back anytime.
Well, thanks for having me. It's fun to see you guys and fun to have great conversation.
I know. It's too bad we won't see it. So I won't see it Q. First time I met you was at Q last year, huh?
I know. McCall and Q are the same weeks this year, so couldn't do both.
That was a good one. Do you remember when we had to wait an hour and a half for our table with the incredibly handsome Carl Lingenstreicher and the awesome Victoria Olsen and the
don't forget the dashing Darren Hudgens.
Yeah, dashing Darren. I like that, dashing Darren Hudgens. But yeah, how long did we wait for a meal there? That was at least an hour, right?
It was a long time.
That was at the time.
Yes.
That's all I felt. And then by the time we got the food, it didn't matter anyway because I was just like, I think I was asleep by then. That was so fun. Well, anyway, we'll miss you at Q, but have fun at McCall then.
All right, will do.
Carl Lingenstreicher, do you have any last words? Or David Terrio, do you have any last words?
No, just Kelly blog more and follow Coach K on Twitter. You'll get lots of good advice about even more than just basketball.
That's right. All right. Thanks, and we'll catch you on the flip side.